everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful springtime in Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today on this 5-star podcast, Dan.
We did. We made it. We made it back to 5.
Yeah,
we had
you're-
lost half a star, you guys.
Everybody, just so you know, you are listening to a 5-star podcast.
Oh, we were a 5-star podcast for years and years. And then we, dropped a star.
And we were only a 4.5-star podcast.
You and I were both, we dropped half a star. And you and I were both kind of pretty butthurt about it. We're only talking about iTunes here, but thank you, all of you who have given us a 5-star review.
Yeah, it's appreciated.
For those of you who haven't bothered, might not be a bad thing, because here's the thing: we get Christians all the time who come on and just rate us of 1 star, and they don't even listen to the show.
No, of course not.
They're
And
just
even if
they
they
see the word
did,
atheist.
they wouldn't like it, right?
No.
Well, anyway.
Anyway.
But anyway, coming up on the show, we are going to be talking about, in the second half of the show, about sort of what happens to somebody when their beliefs, their religious beliefs, become part of their identity.
Yeah, it's the idea of there's things that you believe, and then there's something that you are.
Yeah,
and those have very different implications, and I think psychologically, we got a lot of people who are not who don't believe, but they are. So we'll talk about that.
All right, but before we do, Dan, I believe this is a name that's come up before. His picture looks familiar. And I kind of looked up his story. His name, I know we've done some stories on him. He's Representative Matt Shea. He's he'd be a Washington state legislator from Spokane Valley. I had to look him up on Wikipedia real quick. He was an organizer behind one of the Bundy standoffs, the one in Nevada.
Oh, yes.
So he's one of those. He's like this ultra right wing guy. Yeah, exactly.
I totally remember this guy. Yeah.
Anyway, he was at a protest at the Washington state capitol.
Sure.
That actually happened right on the heels of another protest, which was done by the Satanic Temple of Washington.
Yay!
So they were there. They were wearing their black hoods, hooded robe, things, and they marched through and around the building and everything, and that of course would ruffle the feathers of crazy Christians, right?
Yeah,
and
that's the point.
That it is the point. Well, Mr. Shea knew that the steps of the Capitol had been sullied, and they needed to be cleansed of whatever the Satanic Temple people had sort of left behind, the dog shit aura on the bottom of their shoes, whatever.
Does Lysol create a Satan remover of any kind?
No, but apparently, as any good Christian would think, olive oil. Olive oil would cleanse the steps. Right?
Oh, he's anointing the steps.
He anointed the steps of the Capitol. Now, initially, he arrived and he pulled out his olive oil, and somebody at the Capitol grounds, on the Capitol grounds staff, saw it and confiscated it. They were just like, no. We know what you're going to do with this, and no. Right?
Representative Shea, that's a bad representative.
So
no.
So he slipped away back to his office, came back with another vial of olive oil.
You can't stop a dedicated Christian from doing something stupid.
And successfully smeared it all over the steps. He
basically created an oil slick on stairs.
Yeah, well, and this is a state capital, so these stairs are marble.
Yeah.
And what does marble like to do with like oils and that kind of stuff? It's a porous, especially the kind of marble that's going to be on the granite marble that's going to be on the steps here. It's a little porous, right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to absorb the oil. It's going to mark the steps.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Marble is notoriously rough. You got to take care of it in very specific ways.
If you have a marble countertop in your kitchen,
forget about it.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Which is why everybody just get quartz. You'll save some money. It
totally.
looks good.
No, right? I'm on board. I'm with you on that.
But anyway,
I have a marble surround in my personal shower, my downstairs my shower, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But you can't clean it with any of the cleaning products. You have to buy special cleaning products to clean it.
What's the point? It's crazy.
It's gorgeous, but I have a wife that's an interior designer. I'm not allowed to complain about stuff like that. Anyway.
Well, you just did. So
there you go.
No, so the Capitol grounds maintenance people, they had to clean this up. And so they have sent Matt Shea a bill for $4,700. And even with their scrubbing, well, because of the scrubbing, actually the steps are a lighter color than their surrounding steps and marble and everything.
I'm sure they are.
And so they're miffed. They're miffed. He actually vandalized the state capitol with some olive oil. That takes
I hope those Satanic Temple people go back all the time now. Oh my God, they need to just hang out there. They need to be rubbing their bums all over different parts of the floor.
I know. It's pretty
just
amazing.
Right outside the door of his office. Just touch everything. Get in there, Satanic Temple. I recently watched the Hail Satan, the Satanic Temple documentary, which I had never seen yet.
Oh, okay.
And I watched it recently, and it's very cute, and I like it. I was actually disappointed because it didn't present their arguments as well as they have presented their arguments to me. They highlighted the after school Satan program, but didn't actually discuss why it exists, which I thought was a stupid thing for the film to do. Anywho, the person that my friend that I was that was also watching it with me over Zoom, we were watching it together, and my friend was like, why are they doing all these theatrics with the costumes and all this stuff? It makes them look so freaky. Why can't they just be show people that they're normal, average, everyday people? And I was like, no. It only works if they're freaky.
Right. Yeah.
The whole game is up if people are just oh, those are just normal people.
Right.
They have to be doing good and being good people scarily.
Yeah. Well, in order
for it to work.
They're not really Satanists.
Well, right? You know what? There's something to they would say they are really Satanists. They just don't believe in Satan.
Believe in Satan. Right. Okay.
Correct.
That's okay. They don't believe in Satan.
But they take Satan as their sort of as their mythical figurehead,
right?
As the original dissenter against authoritarian rule, sort of thing.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. They are great. I actually think that they are amazing. It's an amazing organization.
They've done some good work.
God bless them. Anyway, I'm going to move on to Australia. Now, here's the thing. Australia is apparently a real country with real people in it.
Really? I was about to go find out for myself, but then Corona came up. So I'm still suspicious.
Yeah, it's true. You were. You would be there
I think
right now.
I think the virus came up a little too... the timing was a little too convenient. I'm just going to say it. Yeah.
Right?
I have yet to be convinced.
This story was sent in to us by an astute Aussie listener.
Okay.
Apparently, here's the thing. America is also a country, and we export stuff all over the world, and not all of the stuff that we export is good. And one of the things that we have apparently exported is the Genesis 2 Church of Healing, Church of Health and Healing, which that's G2C for short. They're a Florida-based church. I'm going to say church in quotation mark. Let's put some scare quotes around that church, because really, all they are is a poison for sale company. Because what they do is they sell a bleach-based miracle drink sacrament that they claim will cure you of any number of things, including, you won't be surprised to learn, COVID-19. Now, in the United States, this has earned them some very stern talkings to, and some eager slaps on the wrist and nothing else. But apparently, Australia actually cares about their people more than they care about idiotic religions being allowed to idiotic. So in Australia, the same church was doing the same bullshit and got fined $150,000.
Nice. Wow.
So, yeah.
Whoa. Yeah.
For a
You
little,
couldn't
for a
do
little
that
group like
here.
this, I'm guessing that's an untenable amount.
Yeah, and you could not do that here. You could not.
It's crazy. Why we should be able to do that?
We
here.
should be. I love that Australia has done this. I wish we could do that here. You could not do that here.
You could start doing it.
Oh, people, the uprising, the anger, the everybody would be up in the lather. It would just fucking suck.
Ugh. America's culture, I saw a tweet thread that was about the killing of Ahmad, what's his name?
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, it ended with a sentence that I'm going to paraphrase and butcher, but it was something like, "I am horrified by the ghastly character of my country," something like that.
Yeah.
Which I totally identified with, other than the fact that he claimed that our country had a culture, which it doesn't seem to have. It just seems to be a gelatinous blob of uck.
That is our culture.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, good job, Aussies. Way to go down there. Sorry we can't come and visit you anytime soon, but just know that we're proud of you.
Yeah. All right, Dan.
Yeah.
Well, coronavirus, it just keeps causing problems, Dan.
Keeps corona-ing.
It's just, oh my God. The latest news to come out about a victim of coronavirus, the Vatican coffers apparently have they don't have any money. They're going to go into deficit because and it makes sense. It's a religion, right? And they would normally be relying on donations, at services,
Sure.
and that money is absolutely not coming in. But also, Dan, their cash cow, the Vatican museums, which bring in $100 million a year for the Vatican. Whoa. It is the great balancer of the Vatican's budget, essentially, because this article goes into a little bit of detail about. Not much detail, but a little sneak peek into how the finances of the Roman Catholic Church work. There are two budgets. There's the budget of the government of the Catholic Church, the Holy See, right? The actual sovereign entity recognized internationally, right, as its own state, right, and that obviously its expenses include basically any kind of government administration and the embassies that they operate throughout the world in order to, maintain relationships with foreign states, et cetera, et cetera. And the income from that supports the Holy See includes real estate holdings and investments, and then contributions from Peter's Pence, which is, I guess, you're familiar with, yeah.
Yeah, it's a charitable, theoretic, which we've talked about because they've invested it in like real estate holdings and stuff.
Yeah, they've exactly, and they've also had to it's supposed to just be for charitable purposes, but they also kind of use it to prop up the state, right?
Yeah.
And then the other budget is specifically for the Vatican City, right? And that's their income comes from the Vatican museums, and that is like their main source. And because it is so much money that's coming in, they transfer money from that one budget to the other budget and prop up the whole thing, right? Well, now they don't have that money coming in. They know that even once governments start to open up and ease restrictions, tourism is not just going to turn back on. It's not going to be like a light switch. And they're even going to have to do social distancing and have fewer, because you've been to the Vatican museums, right, Dan?
I have not. I've never been to Rome.
Oh,
I've been to
but you can
Italy,
imagine a major European capital city museum and how packed it would be, right?
Of course.
Well, that's of course how the Vatican museums are, and so they can't let people be in there like packed sardines anymore, right?
Right.
And so they're screwed. And it has people at the Vatican really, really, really nervous because they don't know where they're going to be getting any money, because they also have all these real estate holdings, and they're apparently reducing rents. They have all these commercial holdings throughout the city of Rome, and they're just slashing rents, and so there's less money coming in that way. And there's this quote from he's higher up at the Vatican, Father Augusto Zampini. He says, "I don't think we're in a different situation than anybody else." No, it's exactly like everybody else. Yeah,
he said and then he hung up his his golden phone and sat down on a Prada cushion.
Amazing.
Well, he's going to be calling the Mormons pretty soon to just be like, "Hey, how do you guys do your budgets? Can we talk shop a little bit?"
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh my God. Well, it's tough all over. It's bad in the Holy See, but I can tell you where things are finally looking up, where things are a little bit brighter.
Oh yeah.
You and I have been to Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Oh yeah,
land of
fun town.
The great Passion Play, play. Which we went to see after visiting their really sad little Holy Land experience.
Oh, that was fun.
Which I get the sense it's better now, but not now, but soon, but not soon, but when. Anyway, here's the deal. I got an email from them. I'm on their email list because I was the one who got our tickets, I think, for the Passion Play back when we went. Those 7-ish years ago, something
about
like that.
Yeah.
And on our little road trip through the South, and we sat in an auditorium. I want you to describe the auditorium of the Great Passion Play, because it's not fucking around.
Well, I would say that it is an amphitheater.
Yes,
because it's outdoors.
Yeah. Auditorium
right?
is a bad word. Yeah, it's outdoor.
And amphitheater, I think, also gives sort of the impression of a very large theatrical experience, right? And yeah, so like you have your ticket, you go in, and it's very steeply raked seating, right? You have to walk down these very steep steps, and I don't know how many people do you think that thing seats? It's got to be
in
2,000, 3,000, maybe more, even, because it is quite big.
Here's what you got to picture. It's wide. It's long. There's a lot going up. It's stadium style seating, and it's quite wide for an amphitheater.
Yeah, and I also remember it being stadium, like cheap high school stadium seating, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't. Was it actual seats with fold downs, or was it like benches? I remember being cheap. I can't remember.
It's got fold down. It's got
fold down? Okay.
Yeah, you got backs on the seats.
Okay. All right. Anyway, and before you is this entire scene. It's the
small town.
It's the city of Jerusalem. all built out in front of you. And they perform this pre-recorded. The audio is pre-recorded, but they get out there and then they pantomime the whole thing and gesticulate wildly, to say, hey, look at me, look, I'm the one talking,
right.
literal histrionics, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And they've got hundreds of cast members running through this thing, and sheep and camels and whatever. They've really cultivated quite the show. And like you say, audio playback the whole way through. None of the actual actors that we're seeing are talking. The best moment of all, I'm sure you'll back me up on this, is when Christ is hoisted up onto the cross, and that's behind the rest of the set, way up high. So it's so far away from us by this point. It feels like it's in a different theater.
Yeah.
And then, bright spotlights on Christ and the two other guys, the two thieves being crucified next to him. And it comes time for one of the thieves to ask a question of Christ. And this thief, who is crucified on a cross, starts frantically flapping his arms so that we know that he's the one that's talking. And it looks like he's trying to fly away. It was the most funny thing. I was delightful. I loved it. Well, let me tell you something.
Uh-oh.
Theater. I'm a theater person. I'm a theater professional. I act in plays. All the theaters are closed right now. You can't do a show. You can't do a play.
Right. No.
In a pandemic. But the good news is they're reopening at the end of May. In a week and a half, they're going to be reopening their play, and we'll all every idiot who wants to can go and expose themselves to that.
It's too soon.
They say that they're going to be modifying how many people can come in, and in a 4,000 seat house, you could if a couple hundred people are in there, they can probably space themselves fairly safely. But who can't space themselves safely? Actors.
Oh no.
Or what I'll call actors. I hesitate to use that term, but anyway, like I said, cast of hundreds. It's not good. So anyway, I just I got that email and I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's both funny and tragic and awful and stupid. And guess what, kids? People come from surrounding states, from all around, to watch this thing. So even if Eureka Springs, Arkansas is not a hotbed of COVID-19, guess where is? Somewhere where somebody's from.
Yeah. No,
and they're coming.
That thing's a bad idea.
It is such a bad idea. I can't even believe they're doing it. By the way, I was combing their website to try and find out if they're also still doing, because here's the thing, on their schedule, it doesn't just say that the play is happening. On the schedule, it says, oh, wait, let me find it. On the calendar, the day that it opens, it's Play Holy Land Tour, dinner, and events. That dinner is a buffet.
Oh, God.
And I can't find anything that says that the buffet will not be open. So it's good ideas all the way around, kids. The sneeze guard can protect you. You'll be just fine.
Oh, my God. That is terrifying to me.
They do also have a resource, which is other restaurants in the area. And it lists one cafe that I think we went to.
Okay.
And then also Subway and McDonald's. So there you go. That's what's available for you.
Oh, Eureka Springs. It's such a cute little town.
It was a cute little town.
I like Eureka Springs.
And like, crazily, we went to that cafe and got sat next to this cute older gay couple.
Yeah.
And they were from like Silicon Valley or something.
Yeah.
And they had just left the Bay Area to come and be in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
To
retire.
Like, what the
fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, no, it's super gay friendly here. And we were like, that cannot be true.
Yeah, except like when we walked in, you will recall the hostess / owner had a twinkle in her eye. She was like, oh, we don't have anything right now. And we're like,
we don't have any tables. It's going to be an hour.
Yeah,
blah,
we're
blah,
just
blah.
like,
And then,
oh, God. And she goes, well, actually, if you wouldn't mind sitting at a table with some other people. And we're like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. And total twinkle in her eye, right?
Yeah.
And she thought that she had our number, right?
Yeah, she had us pegged totally as a gay couple. And these two guys...
And they thought we were too.
Yeah, they did. And I don't think we did anything to disabuse them of that idea.
Yeah, but anyway.
Because why? But it was very funny because, they were like, oh, no, it's super gay friendly here. And we were like, there's a giant, hideous statue of Jesus right there. What are you talking about? But they claim it was. They claim that other than the Great Passion Play, it's actually very hip and cool.
Clearly very hip. All right, Dan.
Yeah.
I have another COVID story. It's all gets COVID all the time, isn't it?
That's all we get. That's all that exists.
Because religious people are having such a wonderful reaction to it.
Well,
I mean, how can you ignore it? It's just so much fun.
Their reaction is to endanger all of us.
Yeah. Well, this is the story of a little hair salon in Wisconsin. The state has an order in Wisconsin, and non-essential businesses have been ordered closed by the governor, an emergency order. And so places like hair salons, barbershops have been closed in order to prevent the spread of the disease, of the virus, right?
Right.
And but there's this one little hair salon by the name of Kingdom Cuts.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that Wisconsin has a king, but apparently.
Kingdom Cuts. The owner is suing the state, saying that her the COVID-19 shutdown violates her religious rights. Because
good. She has the religious right to cut hair.
She does, yeah. Or maybe having her cut your hair is a religious experience. Maybe. That could be that would be quite the little tagline. But no. She says that she operates her salon as a faith-based business.
Right.
Okay.
Of course. Because if Hobby Lobby can sell you glue as a as a faith-based business, then anything counts.
Yeah, and she says that it also serves as a ministry, and that she has references to scripture placed all around, the space, and she says that her religion calls for, quote, gathering in his name during times of peril and crisis, according to the lawsuit. And they say the lawyer says, or the lawsuit says, Ms. Netzel, that's her name, sincerely believes that she is to share her faith with others through her work at Kingdom Cuts. And all I would have to say is, well, what kind of license does she operate with?
Right?
Show me, like, if it's true that she's a ministry and her ministering is just cutting of hair, I guess so. But my guess is that she had to go through and get a license with the state. Probably had to go to some kind of cosmetology classes, pass an exam of some kind, because there is a health issue, right? There's a sanitation concern.
Even when there isn't a pandemic,
even when there is not a pandemic, exactly. But yeah, I mean, watch for some other faith-based businesses popping up.
Oh, they're going to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I have a few that I listed right here. Faith Photos. Let's see. God's Groceries.
Yeah.
Christian Cakes.
Yeah. All those.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have a story about a faith-based business that I wanted to close out with, which is, weddings are a tricky business when you're a believer, because there's gays always trying to get married and stuff.
Yeah,
they're just trying to ruin the world, is what they are.
Yeah, it's our goal.
Well, there was a dust-up recently in the South. This is in Mississippi, and the town is called Booneville, Mississippi.
Oh, beautiful Booneville.
Oh, yeah. And apparently a young couple wanted to get married, and they contacted an event space called Boone's Camp Event Hall, which, you guys, come on, don't go to anywhere that has the word camp in it. Anyway, they wanted to get, so they contacted them, they booked a night, and then they booked a day to come and visit the space to see if that's where they wanted to be. And then they got an email saying, I'm sorry, we won't be doing your wedding.
Oh, no.
And they went to confront, or I think the sister of the groom went to confront the owners to say, hey, why won't you be doing this wedding? And the response was, we don't do gay weddings or mixed race because of our Christian race. I mean, our Christian beliefs. And it turns out that this couple was one white fella and a black the other way. I think it was a black fella and a white lady, and they wanted to get married, and they didn't do mixed race things. Well,
whoa.
They videotaped this woman saying this literally outright to these people, which the thing is, in the South, they're used to racism, but that is overt even for the South.
Jesus Christ.
We don't do mixed race weddings because of our Christian faith. So even in the South, that made waves. And when that story took off, people, the shit kind of hit the fan for poor little Boone's Camp, whatever it's called.
Boonesville.
Boone's Camp Event Hall in Boonesville.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And they had to take down their Facebook page because people were hollering at them and all this stuff. And apparently they put their Facebook page back up. And here's what's really interesting. On it was an apology. And the woman said that her husband had called her out and asked her to point out in the Bible where it talks about anything concerning mixed race marriages being wrong. And apparently she said she studied for a minute and, quote, she said, quote, I studied for a minute and began to think about the history of my learning this and where it came from. She said eventually she decided that she couldn't find anything in the Bible that actually said you can't mix races. And she said, I have, quote, I have for many years stood firm on my Christian faith, not knowing that biracial relationships were never mentioned in the Bible.
This story has taken a turn, Dan, that I was not expecting.
I know.
Somebody learned a lesson? Somebody grew? This is not our beat, Dan.
I know. Well,
this
calm
is
down.
Not what we pay attention to in the world.
Because that Facebook page was then again fairly immediately taken down.
Oh, she found the verse in the Bible.
Right? She found it. It's actually about mixing linen and cotton or different.
But you know what he
fibers.
really means.
But you
know what God
all the
really
Bible is about the correct interpretation. No, I wanted to talk about it because the big news that came out was, look at this racist bitch. But I think that it's kind of amazing that someone was like, oh, what if it's just my racist culture that believes that shit and not the stupid book that I love?
Oh, so she's still racist, but she realized she doesn't have a religious exemption? Is that really what came out of this?
Maybe. Here's the thing. That it's moments like that where maybe somebody might have had a small epiphany that 10 years from now will make that person less racist, or a year and a half. Who
Maybe.
knows?
It's possible.
So I wanted to end on a hopeful note.
Well, Dan,
and then we'll talk about more stuff like this later on in the show and feel less hopeful. So that's
good. I'm glad you brought it up because that is the reason why I was not allowed to watch The Jeffersons as a child. It's because there were their neighbors, right? That couple who there was like the white guy with the black wife, right? Yes. And my mom wouldn't. She hated that show, and it was because of the interrace couple.
Oh my God, that is delightful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any delightful, horrible stories of racism in your family, please feel free to send them to us. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, let us know what shows you weren't allowed to watch as a kid. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And
we need likes.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in. Also find us on Twitter at TGIAtheist. And there's more to come. Hey, Dan.
Hey.
Here are two voices that we haven't heard in a while.
These guys.
And they
are precious.
We're going to be mainly hearing from Chris McDonald. And then we have a little bit of Mark Taylor chiming in. Prophet Mark Taylor, I guess I should say.
Firefighter prophet Mark Taylor.
And just all-around doofus.
Some of our go-tos we should mention, are out of commission right now. Old Jim Baker had himself, I think, a stroke or something. So our hearts and prayers are with him.
A lot of good that'll do him.
Yeah, exactly. But at least we have McDonald and Taylor to step in with the crazy.
Yeah, so
and they never disappoint.
Yeah, so let's see. What do we have to do to set this up? This is the Ahmaud Arbery killing is what they're talking about. And they oh God.
Believe me, when there is a very obviously racially motivated, straight up murder in the world, these guys are going to have the real scoop on what it's all about.
So let's hear the truth.
Yeah.
I've been very disturbed. I was on Ron Edwards, our mutual friend Ron Edwards show Friday, And we got to talking about this terrible situation in my home state of Georgia, this young man that got shot by two white men. And Ron predicted on his show, he literally predicted it, and I knew it was going to happen over the weekend, and it did. He said, Chris, they're going to turn it into a race thing, and they're going to turn this into a Trump-bashing, racially charged event. They're trying to distract. I look at this almost like you call it a red flag, false flag. It's like it's like it didn't. It's not that it didn't happen, but it was a distraction to get our attention off of what you have just been talking about for the last 30 minutes.
They're trying to change the narrative.
Change the narrative, and the mayor of Atlanta comes out and says that Trump's rhetoric is what led to this, and then you've got MSNBC and everybody. You got this rapper literally that calls that the black people need to arm themselves from the vanilla ISIS, and folks, the vanilla ISIS they're talking about are you out there that are white. Okay? And I'm not making this into a racial thing. This is a justice thing to me, Mark. If the investigation by the Department of Justice determines that these two men acted recklessly and they killed that boy, they need to be held to the account of the law, number one.
Absolutely.
Number two, if the DOJ is going to put this as a hate crime, then they need to go back. They need to go back, and they need to look at every single time that this has been in reverse, when you've had black people shooting white people, and let's look about seeing that being a hate crime too. Because every time something like this happens, that's what the left wants to do. They want to call it a hate crime. And folks, people in Chicago, can I just tell you folks in Chicago, you got black people shooting black people every weekend, folks. You got black people shooting white people every day. And white people shoot black people. It's not a matter of skin. It's a matter of sin. It's murder. It don't matter what color your skin is. And you need to pay according to the law. Your skin color does not matter. You know why it don't matter? Because when that Lady of Justice, when they put that statue up and they built that Lady of Justice, she's got something on her face called a blindfold. She's blind. She don't care whether you're red, white, yellow, brown, green, in between, and everything under the sun. That law works the same. It should work the same no matter what. Don't let them do this to our nation tonight, folks. It's a farce. It's a false flag, and they're using it to destroy one Donald John Trump. And you cannot let them do that. What say you, buddy?
They're trying to start a civil war in this country, a race war, civil wars. They're trying to spark anything that they can right now to start riots or this and the other to literally stop the election in November. And we just cannot fall for it right now.
Okay. There's a bit to talk about there, but the first thing that I want to just make sure everybody really knows and understands. No, we desperately want that election.
Yeah. I don't think that it's the liberals that are trying to stop the election in this country.
We're going to hopefully be enjoying that election. So,
oh my God.
Fingers
we need
crossed.
it anyway. One way or the other. Like, we're definitely not the ones who are trying to prevent that thing from happening.
Yeah.
Oh, I love these guys use the term false flag with the knee-jerk quickness of an electrified frog. They are quick about it. False flag. I don't like. What do you mean you're out? You can't tell me you're out of chocolate cake. False flag. Netflix is down. False flag. Can I also just say that I think that they quoted somebody as talking about vanilla ISIS, and I think that's super clever.
I love vanilla ISIS. It's like the best thing I've heard in a long time. And also, like, they kind of start the whole thing off with like, that prophet friend of ours, right? Who made the mad, crazy prediction that like two white guys killing a black guy.
Just driving up and straight fucking killing a guy.
This was going to be, quote, turned into a race thing.
Yeah, this is going to be, they're going to make this about race. You watch. I'll bet they try it.
It's like,
I'll bet somehow they take these two guys, white dudes, who kill a black guy for no apparent reason. They're going to try and make that about race. Those bastards.
Oh, let's see. What were some of the other things I wrote down? Quite frankly, I'm pretty sure, and this is going to get me into some trouble, but I'm pretty sure that if you say the color yellow, you are a racist. Like there's just an unbelievably good chance that you are a racist. Like that's all I need. That's all I need to hear.
The
you
Venn diagram of people who say yellow, and people who are racist is mostly a circle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you're in trouble.
Did you hear it, Dan? Did you hear him actually say "killed that boy"?
Oh yeah. What he said was if those two guys acted recklessly and killed that boy.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right to point out that he said boy.
Yeah.
Which was very clearly a race thing.
Yeah.
And then B, I don't think that murder is a reckless move. I don't think that that's recklessness when you get into your truck with your guns and chase down a dude and then just kill him.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like it's recklessness.
Yeah.
That's not the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, hey, we had some folks write into us. Listeners, our dear listeners have written to us, and we shall now respond to them. Graham wrote in to say, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I was listening to your story about the call to prayer in Minneapolis. This is the Muslims of Minneapolis broadcasting a call to prayer out over the attempting to sleep neighborhoods of their town.
Yeah.
And heard you musing," Graham goes on, "about whether it was broadcast year-round in Muslim-majority countries. Well, having spent 3 years living and working in Doha, Qatar, as well as traveling extensively in the region while I was there, I can tell you that the Adhan is indeed broadcast 5 times daily throughout the year, not just during Ramadan. Qatar is extremely conservative and has a lot of oil money lying around, so the government and prominent families build mosques in every neighborhood. My apartment was within a block of no less than 3 mosques, and when prayer times hit, the various calls competed discordantly for worshippers' attention. Not only that, on Fridays, many of these neighborhood mosques broadcast not only the call to prayer, but the entire sermon over their loudspeakers.
Wow.
One of my colleagues was unfortunate enough to have windows facing the minaret of the mosque next to her building.
Oh, God.
That mosque was known for having a real fire and brimstone imam, so her Friday mornings involved a lot of very angry Arabic yelling being broadcast into her bedroom.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
Sounds
Graham.
awful. Sounds absolutely awful.
It sounds like if the Mormons decided to do that, because we got a church on every street corner here in Salt Lake City, and if they decided to start broadcasting something, we'd be...
Yeah.
This would turn into a hell pretty darn quick.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Oh, you got one pretty close, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got one just half a block away.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I had to think about where our closest one is. It's decently close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sue writes into us, "Hi, I just started listening to your podcast. I'm an atheist, but like most Hispanics, I was raised Catholic, like a hardcore Catholic. I did Bible school, first confirmation, church every Sunday, and holidays. Anyway, I hear you guys drop the phrases Jesus Christ or oh God, etc. Does anyone ever give you shit about using those phrases and being atheists? Or do you do it on purpose? I know that I use them a lot, and I find it very hard not to use those phrases when having regular conversations or responding to stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very hard habit to break, and then when people find out that I'm an atheist, I totally get shit for it." And she says, when I say Jesus Christ too much around my mom, her go-to response is, "What does Jesus have to do with it?" My response is always, "According to you people, doesn't everything have to do with him?" Anyway, thanks, Sue. We've talked about it a little bit before.
Yeah,
but
I think these are just the curse words we have in the language, right? Like,
yeah.
And so I have no problem saying Jesus Christ or whatever. Like, it doesn't. There's no. I'm not thinking about the guy. I'm not thinking about the religious implications. Like,
No,
it's just two words, right? And
let me tell you something. When the most Bible believing Christian hits his thumb with a hammer and yells Jesus Christ, or starts dancing around going, "Oh God, oh God, oh God," he's not thinking about Jesus either.
right.
Like, none of us are. That is not it's no longer a religious thing. That is a cultural thing now.
Yeah. But
so I use it extra.
Well, and here's the deal. I don't want to sound like a Mormon. And that's what I would have to sound like. Right? Like, oh fudge.
Right.
Know?
Flip.
Oh
darn. Gosh dang it. Oh, mother scratcher. I like the Mormons that say mother, father. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's cute. Yeah, no, I definitely use it all of the time, and sometimes I over exaggerate it just because I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Frank and Dan, I love you guys. This is from Elliot, who apparently has just become aware of the trip that I was referring to that we took 7 years ago through the South.
Oh, yeah.
Frank and Dan, I love that you guys road tripped through the very religious American South. I think your next trip should be to a bookend that spotlights some of the least religious places.
Oh.
Scandinavia could be too expensive. Maybe Vermont and New Hampshire, or Portland and Seattle. Think about it. Well, remember when you were allowed to travel, Frank?
I know.
Remember that? Those heady days of yore when you could just freely move about the
A
world.
fading memory.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, and we're travelers, you and I.
Yeah,
we like to travel.
I know.
It's kind of important to me.
Bleach.
And yet, someday we'll be allowed to travel again, and then I would love to go to some of those places.
Yeah. I know.
Would it be great to go to Sweden and to go to Scandinavia, maybe Norway or Finland or something?
I would love it. It would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I'd love
right.
to go see that part of the world. But as you say, it's going to be a while.
It's going to be a hot minute. You're even more pessimistic about when that minute will come than I am.
Well, I think that it will become available to us sooner than is prudent.
Well,
right?
yes,
like
that's probably true.
I'm not too skeptical. Like I don't think that like the world granting us the right to go be, big risk takers and endanger our fellow human beings. I think that's going to happen fairly soon.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean,
the question
fairly
isn't when are we
soon,
allowed
sometime
to
maybe
go.
this year, maybe other countries won't be letting us in, but like people are going to be freely moving around this country in mass numbers sometime soon, unless there's a major flare up. Otherwise, yeah, I'm probably not going to be comfortable traveling for a while.
Yeah. Me too.
A real while.
Too.
And it makes me really sad.
Regardless of who will be there when we get there.
Yeah, it makes me really sad. Because Australia was obviously something I was really looking forward to. And then there's a friend's 40th in Sardinia next year. Aww. And that's probably going to not happen, right? So
totally.
Totally
I had a big Machu Picchu thing coming up.
Yeah,
I was going to finally go to that and stuff, and that's all. It's just all gone. There's no fun left in the world. It's all dead. Fun is gone. Anyway, we have one more email.
Oh yeah,
this one I may or may I think it's from a person of great importance to us. They write in. Regarding your discussion about early morning call to prayer in Minnesota, am I missing something? With technology today, couldn't they create an app for their adherents to call in for prayers rather than blast it across the rooftops?
Smart.
Or hell, do it over Zoom so someone can hack in with some porn. That was from Davis, who I think may well be our Lord and Savior.
Oh, Davis!
So,
I mean, yeah, it's a good point. They probably
get
have
with the times.
some tradition thing, right?
Yeah. I feel like the thing in Minnesota the thing that they wanted in Minnesota was like, hey, let us do something that we think, something that the whole world has to acknowledge or whatever. But yeah, come on, get with the times. Where is the call to prayer app that just starts buzzing you in your own pocket to make you do your prayer?
Or the cathedral bells, right?
Right.
Could just be an app on your phone.
Yeah.
Why do we all
we
have to,
the technology?
Why do we
not
have to listen
bug other people
to the charming bells ringing? Right.
Yeah.
I do find church bells ringing to be. I love that sound.
I do too.
I don't know why I love it so much, but I do.
And I would actually, to be perfectly honest, if I were just visiting, a majority Muslim country, I think I would probably enjoy the call to prayer too. I think I would like it for a brief amount of time.
And I think I would like it more if it wasn't at obnoxious hours of the morning.
Yeah.
Right. Like if they were just more respectful about it.
Do it at brunch
more
time
neighborly
and
about
dinner.
It. Like if a mosque wanted to do it, like do the call publicly 3 times a day during daylight hours, I wouldn't mind it at all. Even if they were my neighbor, I don't think I would mind that. But at the early morning one, no way. I've decided I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Yeah.
Hey, do we have some folks to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have 2 new patrons on Patreon. We have a new deacon by the name of Nolando. I had to say it, there's an exclamation point, so
I like it.
Nolando.
Yeah, you did it right.
Yeah, and then we have a new venerable. Boy, I just went right to venerable. We have a new teacher, Dan.
Okay.
Dave is a new teacher. Both of these are new holders of the Aaronic priesthood.
I'm so proud of you too.
Maybe it's more the ironic priesthood since it's on our show.
Yeah, exactly.
They went to Patreon by first visiting our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and following the support tab. It will just take you straight to our campaign. And then of course we have our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
Well, kids, we so appreciate all of the support that we get. It has been amazing, and this has been, it's a tough time, and we certainly don't blame anybody who can't afford to give right now. It's a prudent time to be careful with one's money. So those of you who do choose to give, we really, really appreciate it.
That's really great. Thank you, guys. Dan.
Hey.
What do you want to talk about, Dan?
Here's the thing.
I heard you have something that's on your chest that you want to get off. What is it?
Yeah. You've clearly forgotten the topic of this.
No, I have it
discussion.
written down right here. I just can't read my handwriting.
I'm just kidding. Here's the deal. What I was thinking about this week was the fact that it's so hard to penetrate the mind of a believer. Because so many of us think, we figured it out. We're atheists. We've got all of these logical discussions or logical thoughts about why we've come to the point that we've come to in terms of our belief systems or our lack of belief in a God or whatever, in terms of leaving a religion or never joining a religion. We got it all worked out. We got it figured out. We got all of the good arguments. We've read our Hitchens. We've read our Dawkins. We've read our Russell. We know what we're doing. We should be able to talk anybody out of God belief.
Yeah.
It should be easy because we have better, more rational arguments. And we can't. We fail at that constantly. Matter of fact, I don't think I have ever tried to convert anybody. And every time I've had a discussion where I'm like, this person maybe they might be primed and ready to let go of their faith. Let's just chat with them and see what they think. It's never that. You can't penetrate it. And I've been thinking a lot about it. And I think that a big part of the issue is that for most human beings, Their religion isn't about a set of beliefs. It is about an identity. And so when you ask them to question their belief system, you might as well be asking them to question whether or not they should actually have their left arm or something, because you're asking them to question something that they perceive to be who they are, a function of themselves as a person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
And and now it's impossible. Like, once that's the case, you're not, like, no good argument can talk you into believing that you're somebody you're not.
Yeah.
No logical argument can, convince you that your hair color's wrong or your eye color is wrong. Or even, I mean, to them, it's like you might as well be saying, look, let me give you all the logical reasons why you're the wrong height.
Right.
Like, to them, it's just intrinsic to their personhood.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about that in terms of, because listen, people do this identification thing with more than just their religion. They identify with all of their groups. And when you're primed by a religion to hold on to these identifications, much more so than I think we non-religious people do, then suddenly that applies also to your politics. And so it becomes this intractable thing of, like, you can't talk to like, it's why religion and politics are grouped together in that thing of, in that the old saw of you shouldn't talk about religion or politics in in mixed company or whatever. It's because it's the same thing. Their political affiliations aren't just, a set of ideals that they espouse that they can be talked out of with better reasoning. Well, I mean, it's who they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's in group sort of identities and whatnot, right? Like,
yeah.
And I mean, to a certain extent, it just as easily transfers over to somebody's sense of themselves being a Republican versus a Democrat, right?
Right.
And
it happens on our side too. I should be clear.
Absolutely, right?
It's like our side as well.
I mean, just recently you registered as a Republican, and I know that part of that was registering as to a political party, period, for you. But,
I have not been registered as as any political party for I think my entire voting life.
Right, but I do think that the way that it would have felt to register as a Democrat would have been a very different thing. And so it's just, even though you don't agree with the Republicans, you're doing it to be sneaky, right?
I'm doing it to have an effect on my environment, to be part of the political landscape of my.
In essence, you are breaking you're not really breaking a rule, because you can affiliate and disaffiliate as you want with these parties, but there is sort of a sense of, like, Republicans vote in Republican primaries and Democrats vote in Democratic primaries, and you're walking over there and you're just doing it. But anyway, that's beside the point. These words have power and have meaning, and so, like, somebody who grows up Mormon, let's say, right, because this is one that we can identify with easily.
Yes.
Think about, a Mormon housewife who's sort of deconverting from Mormonism, right? But how hard is it to, like, undo everything? It is everything. It is her whole identity, right? It
so much easier.
Literally her haircut in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
It is, though.
Totally.
Right? Because, like, you can spot the Mormon housewife, at Costco versus the non-Mormon, right? And so, like,
you're not asking her to give up a belief. She can give up a belief.
Right.
But you're asking her to give up a belief and a culture and a heritage.
Yeah.
And
it's all
lifestyle.
tied into one. And she doesn't realize the things that she can keep and not keep when one starts to question their beliefs, right?
Right.
How many ex-Mormons do you know who maybe it's not like the same kind of pride that they take in their pioneer ancestry, but they'll still talk your ear off about it, right? When you ask, right? So like,
yeah, now it's funny to them, or now it's like, oh, you should see how much my aunt cares about this thing that they clearly still care about a lot.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
we're descended from Brigham Young.
Yeah. But nonetheless, it is interesting that these things can be so hard to break. What I kind of think about, though, with you bringing this up is sort of, you know, because like in the world of coronavirus, right? And the way that it's been politicized, and there's now this marker in public of like, are you wearing a mask or are you not wearing a mask? And you could probably guess their political affiliation based on that, right?
Right.
And so now, like, even like something as that should not be politicized, a public health issue, right?
Right. Yeah. And literally, your politics have no bearing on whether or not this disease gets you.
But then I saw this headline today that said Florida man skeptical of coronavirus gets infected, changes mind. Right. And that's the thing. I mean, we saw it with Boris Johnson, right? In the prime minister in UK. The Trump's whole reaction to coronavirus has been absolutely amazing to watch as it's like evolved, and like how he used it in order to continue to get attention, and yet the whole time is like a denier at the same time on certain things. And so like famously isn't wearing a mask, and like his White House is not wearing masks, and then all of a sudden a couple people in on the White House staff get, you know, test positive, and now everybody's like social distancing and they can't go anywhere near the president, and they have to wear masks, and there's all these rules in place. And I watched the clip from the press conference. This journalist brilliantly asks the question of who told them to wear masks. And so Donald Trump has to say that it's him. He has to. He has to admit that it's him. Because then somebody else would be in charge, right?
Right.
In his White House. But the question, I was just like, that is like the best question, because he had to answer and admit that he's taking it seriously, right?
And even if
that it's a real thing and it's a real threat, he has to admit that he knows that it's a real threat. And so anyway, it's taking people actually either legitimately getting sick or a germaphobe being 6 feet from being sick, in order for people to change their mind on something that has been wrapped up in their identity.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's that lady that I talked about earlier in the show, the woman who, it didn't even occur to her that her racism wasn't biblically supported until the entirety of the internet crashed down on her business.
Yeah.
And then she looked into it, and then she sort of had a little baby epiphany about it.
Yeah.
But until that moment, it would never have occurred to her to even question her own racism. It's biblically supported. It's part of my identity. I shouldn't have to question anything.
Right.
And that's the thing about Americans, is that they believe they shouldn't have to do any of this work. This isn't their, how dare you tell me it's about my belief, so you don't get to tell me anything. I shouldn't have to even think about it.
Right.
So if I don't want to put on a mask, it's funny, you and I were talking in the Frank and Dan Diaries, which is a recording that only goes out to our patrons. So if you want to hear that extra content, you're going to have to become a patron. We were talking about the idea of, you had asked me, like, how do I feel when I'm wearing a mask in a store or a public place, and I see somebody who isn't wearing a mask. And what I pointed out was, I had a realization in just that situation where I looked at this guy and he looked at me, and I'm wearing a mask and he's not. And that man and I had exactly the same moment which was delighted superiority. It was, fuck that idiot. And both of us thought exactly that thought at exactly the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were both so sure of our position, and we were both so sure that the other guy was a dickhead for either wearing or not wearing the mask. And I think that's, until we can figure out a way around this sort of us versus them, in-group versus out-group.
Right. But sometimes, Dan, there is truth in the world. And he was the dick in that scenario.
100% he was the dick in that scenario.
That is truth, right?
That's a fact.
Lest anybody think that there was some sort of equivalency being drawn there. That man was the dick for being in public without a mask.
Right.
Period.
I'm not two-siding this thing.
No,
what
I know.
I'm saying is,
I'm just saying
he's every bit as convinced of my dickness as I am convinced of his.
Absolutely.
And that's to do with identity. That's to do with he belongs to the group that's right. And in order for him to question that, in order for him to be willing to don a mask to protect other people from a virus he doesn't think he carries, it would require him bending his brain not just around the idea that there actually is a virus and we know scientifically how to slow its rampage.
No, it's going to take him getting sick, right? It takes that complete, absolute clobbering over the head to knock you out of this conviction, right?
Well, and to knock you out of but the conviction is I'm a blank. I belong to this group, and my group isn't wearing masks. We're the ones that don't wear masks, and you're the ones who do wear masks. And so telling him the stats on the transmission of the virus and the lethality of the virus, and telling him, you can tell him anything. If this virus were twice as lethal, you could tell him that. And as long as belonging to his group is more important than the actual facts of the thing, you're not getting a mask on the guy.
Yeah.
Until, like you say, his own mother gets sick, or he gets sick, or someone dear to him gets sick, and he sees something horrifying.
Yeah.
And then maybe things change, but maybe they don't, because people are having funerals all over the country and they're hugging each other at the funeral. So, I don't know. Half of the time, it doesn't even work, no matter how hard you hit them with the hammer.
It's unreal.
So, I don't know. Are there psychologists out there? Write into us. Talk to us about how to get past this intractable problem, because frankly, I don't see it. I don't see how you get through to somebody. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I don't know if these two things are equivalent or not, but I was recently thinking about the end of World War II and how, and this was a little piece of like a detail concerning like the Holocaust and everything that I'd never really appreciated sort of the significance of, which is the American military would march like the local townspeople out to the concentration camp, right, and force them to help clean up or whatever, right. Tend to the whatever it was, or they would march the German, former German military past concentration camps in order for them to see the reality, right, of what
force
had been
them
wrought,
to bear witness.
And yeah, exactly. And I always like took it as like it was important to like, I don't know, just to like really pin it home somehow or whatever. But in my mind, living through this moment in time and seeing people respond to coronavirus and just knowing sort of the political situation in this country and the gun nuts in the Michigan state capitol and people who have so completely blinded themselves to reality with like a complete fake reality, right?
Right.
That in some way, isn't that where the German people were, right? And isn't it going, like, what does it take to knock a people out of their false ideas about the world, right? Like, it takes something cataclysmic, it takes something horrifying, and I have no hope for humanity at the moment. Because we don't have that to march people past. Because after World War II, Germany turns itself into this like country that faces its history, right? And also moves on and like, you know what I mean? They turn themselves into Germany. They turn themselves into modern Germany, right?
Right.
And that's a remarkable transition, right? Something that I would never expect the United States to do at this point. To get its mainstream to face reality. And I don't know. I'm a real pessimist about humanity at the moment.
I hear you. I feel like I'm not a pessimist, but I have deeply, deeply modified my optimism over the last over the last few years. I have changed.
It's essentially pessimism rebranded, but
no, it's still optimism, but it's more. It's less about like the intrinsic goodness of humanity and the and how great humanity will be in the near future, and it's much more about how we incrementally, in tiny ways, make little baby steps forward. Like, we don't ever take the big leaps, but incrementally, over time, as the pendulum shifts back and forth, the fulcrum from which that pendulum swings inches ever slightly forward. And I still believe in that, and I'm holding to it.
I used to believe that, and I am now of a mindset that is based on my experience of up to this point of watching incremental progress in this country and throughout the world, right? Some places progressing more rapidly, but then there is the horror of modern day China, right?
Sure.
A surveillance state that is just tightening its grip on the Chinese people and committing atrocities on Uyghur Muslims and against the Falun Gong and committing atrocities. Nobody's paying any attention to Hong Kong right now. And China is taking the opportunity that everybody's distracted by coronavirus, and they are stripping Hong Kong of any remaining civil rights. And they're doing it. It is actively happening right now. And so, like, you say that the world sort of, that life just keeps getting incrementally better for humanity. And I'm not convinced. That's a foregone conclusion. Anyway.
Well, yeah, look, atrocities continue.
I think that humanity just marches on, and we are what we are, and we're sometimes great and we're sometimes horrible. And you better just hope that you're a lucky one, and that you live in a place that's good right now, because there's usually been good places and there's always been bad places.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with that. I am just going to I'm going to end on an up note, and then I'm going to hope that you shut the hell up and don't say anything afterwards, so that we can at least have a mild up note. And that to me is that even when I look at analyses by guys like Steven Pinker or whatever, we are in a less violent time than the world has really ever known, even though there's wild violence, even though there's still atrocities. They're different and it's changing. And even though there's still just insane amounts of racism, that's changing too. It's just, I don't know, like the pendulum swings, and we're in a weird, and all of the pendulums are swinging, and I think they get intertwined or whatever. I'm still an optimist. I still think things are getting incrementally better in terms of like how we do our laws and how we do our stuff, but we're still the same dumb apes that happen to walk around with cell phones, and you know, it's just never going to get. We're not going to fix that. We have these biological problems that are just built in. So humans won't get better, but humanity, I still believe, gets a little bit better. You can call me a fool if you want to.
No, I'm really happy for you.
Well, okay. Wow, what a place to end this thing. Ladies and gentlemen, save us. Write into us. Tell us how we're wrong about humanity being pieces of shit. Or agree with us, but yeah, let us know what you think. Please write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in. Also find us on Twitter @TGIAtheist.
Yeah, speaking of all of those things, thanks so much to Mackenzie for her hard work on the Facebook page. Thanks to Danny and Amy for moderating the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club and to Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
And thanks to you, dear friends, for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Bye-bye.